In the historic city of Oxford, England, the sudden and tragic passing of a promising young student sent shockwaves through the nation. Rachel McLean was a scholar at St Hilda's College, Oxford, known for her intelligence, kindness, and dedication to her studies. With a bright future ahead of her, Rachel seemed to have everything: ambition, academic success, and a love for literature and poetry. But beneath the surface, she was entangled in a relationship overshadowed by control and possessiveness. On her first day at Oxford, Rachel was captivated by the historic beauty of the campus. Walking through the ancient streets, she couldn't quite believe that this would be her home for the next 3 years. It was a dream come true. Rachel quickly made an impression on everyone she met. When she wasn't focusing on her studies or activism, Rachel volunteered with organizations like Christian Aid and the Samaritans, and she even found time to indulge her love of heavy metal music through the University Rock Society. In many ways, Rachel's life at Oxford seemed perfect. On the personal front, things were looking up too. Rachel met John Tanner, a New Zealand native, at her 19th birthday celebration in Blackpool. John, a student at the University of Nottingham, had been visiting a friend in town when he crossed paths with Rachel, and the connection between them was instant. Despite the distance between their universities, Rachel and John became inseparable. They made the effort to visit each other often, and their relationship blossomed. But behind the surface of their romance, darker forces would soon come to light, leading to a tragic twist no one could have predicted. On the 19th of April, Rachel's family received a call that would change everything. Rachel had missed her scheduled meetings with her tutor, something completely out of character for her. Concerned, the university reached out to Rachel's family, who confirmed that they had just dropped her back off at Oxford the previous weekend after spending the Easter break together. Her mother Jean had returned Rachel to Oxford on the Saturday before term began, giving her some extra time to settle in and prepare for the upcoming semester. After spending the day together, Jean left for home around 4 p.m, while Rachel planned to meet John at the station later that evening. John's train, however, was delayed and Rachel had to return home alone, with John eventually arriving at her place by taxi around 7:30 p.m. That night, Jean called Rachel to let her know she had made it home safely after the 5-hour drive. It would be the last time she spoke to her daughter. When Rachel failed to show up for her commitments the next day, a missing person report was filed. Initially, both the university and the authorities were unconcerned, as it wasn't unusual for students to fall out of touch for short periods of time. However, as more time passed, the situation became far more alarming. Investigators soon turned to John, who recounted the events of their weekend together. He explained how, on Saturday night, he had watched a Nottingham Forest football match on TV while Rachel studied in the living room. The next day, before catching his train, John said goodbye to Rachel at Oxford railway station. He mentioned that while they waited for the train, a man with long hair sat beside them, a stranger to John, but someone Rachel appeared to know. The man offered to give Rachel a lift home, which she accepted. The mention of the unidentified man with long hair immediately caught the attention of the authorities. Could he have information about Rachel's whereabouts? While the early investigation was kept quiet, by April 21st, the case took a more serious turn. Local authorities handed control over to the Criminal Investigation Department, who suspected foul play. The search for answers was only just beginning. With no promising leads in sight, the police ramped up their efforts, going door to door in the area around her home on Argyle Street. They even brought in sniffer dogs to comb through nearby bushes and open spaces, but still there were no signs of Rachel. John agreed to take part in a press conference on April 29th, where he also reenacted Rachel's last known movements. The atmosphere at the press conference was tense, with John emotionally denying any involvement in Rachel's disappearance. However, the press conference brought a significant breakthrough. 2 witnesses independently confirmed that they had seen John Tanner at the train station on the day Rachel went missing. But what stood out was the fact that neither witness had seen Rachel with him. Another witness recalled seeing John on a bus from Rachel's home to the station, but again, Rachel was not spotted. The new information only strengthened the investigators' growing suspicion that John was involved in Rachel's disappearance. As May began, the investigation took a new turn. The police reached out to Oxfordshire County Council to learn more about the layout of the houses on Argyle Street, suspecting that John might have hidden Rachel's body in a basement. Although the council confirmed that the homes didn't have traditional basements, they mentioned that the houses were supported by structures that could leave small spaces beneath the floors. On May 2nd, 1991, detectives returned to Rachel's residence, now armed with this critical piece of information. Their search led them to a devastating discovery. Wrapped in a carpet and hidden beneath the floorboards, Rachel's body was found just before 5:30 p.m. Due to the unusually cold spring of 1991, Rachel McLean's body had not yet begun to decompose when it was discovered. For nearly 2 weeks, Rachel's housemates carried on with their daily lives, unaware that their friend's remains were hidden beneath the floorboards. It was a chilling and tragic end for the 19-year-old, whose disappearance had shaken both her family and the Oxford community. Shortly after the discovery of her body, John was apprehended at a pub in Nottingham. Initially, he refused to cooperate with the police, maintaining his innocence despite mounting evidence. However, the following day, after detectives confronted him with the overwhelming facts, John finally confessed to killing Rachel. One detective later reflected on the moment, saying, "Having had all the facts put to him, he showed the first glimmer of emotion, but he was a difficult character. Anyone who can go to a press conference with the parents of the girlfriend he murdered is very different to you and me, aren't they?" In his written confession, John recounted the event, explaining that he became enraged after learning why Rachel had refused his marriage proposal. He admitted that in a moment of anger, he lost control. In his own words, he insisted, "Because I actively showed that I wanted to care for her, because I actively promised to care for her as long as I could, I do not construe that as possessiveness. I construe that as caring for someone you love." While John tried to frame his actions as love, the truth of their relationship had already come to light through Rachel's personal journals, where she documented her growing unhappiness with him. John's darker side had already surfaced earlier in 1991 when he wrote to Rachel in a letter, expressing his frustration and jealousy. "All I feel is anger and rejection. I love you, you know that. Why do you not want me? I shall not give you up." This fixation would ultimately lead to his violent outburst. In court, John further revealed his true nature. He claimed that Rachel had taunted him during his struggles with groin and abdominal pain, which had prevented him from engaging in sexual activities. His courtroom statements painted the picture of a controlling and selfish individual, concerned only with how situations affected him. Though he confessed to causing Rachel's death, he vehemently denied that it was premeditated murder, which led to a lengthy trial and more suffering for Rachel's loved ones. Detectives concluded that John had committed the ultimate act of violence because Rachel wanted to end their relationship. He was infatuated, even to the point of proposing marriage. But when faced with rejection, his obsession turned deadly. It was a tragic case of a promising life cut short by someone who claimed to love her but was, in reality, consumed by possessiveness and control. On December 6, 1991, the jury unanimously found John guilty of Rachel's murder, sentencing him to life imprisonment. Despite the verdict, John continued to blame Rachel for her own death, referring to her as a dark angel, claiming that she had sabotaged his life. John's twisted narrative allowed him to justify his actions, and after serving just under 12 years in prison, he was released and returned to New Zealand. His name resurfaced in 2018, following his conviction for repeatedly assaulting his new partner over the course of 6 months. The sudden loss of Rachel McLean left a deep and irreplaceable void in the hearts of her loved ones, her peers, and the academic community. Their grief and sorrow became a lasting tribute to the vibrant, promising life that was tragically cut short. Rachel's story serves as a somber reminder of the importance of being aware of those around us who may be suffering in silence. Her memory stands as a call to cherish our loved ones, seek help when needed, and advocate for a world where no one lives in fear or violence. If you found this video compelling, don't forget to leave a like, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more content. And be sure to check out our other videos for more stories like this one.